FabUPlus this, and I'm gonna need a little help. Listen, I'm bad with names. Everybody
Kathy is
knows.
the worst at
I'm
names.
the worst at pronouncing things.
She can't even say pronounce.
I was
so there's that.
So we have Shannon
Svingen-Jones. Is that right?
Yes, that's pretty
Okay,
close.
good.
Yes. I mean, honestly, I couldn't have asked you that like before we got out here. What's wrong with me?
I know.
Anyway,
What's wrong with me?
What's wrong
with me?
and we so you're the editor-in-chief
Sam.
of FabUPlus, and you are technically the assistant
assistant editor. Not
Wonderful.
just
Not
assistant
just, you're
editor.
totally right.
And also former Miss Plus Canada.
Yes, exactly. Sarah, remind me your last name. I'm so sorry.
Taylor.
Sarah Taylor. I know. You'd think I'd write something down. I just put Shannon and Sarah because you're already good friends. So this magazine is new, but is exploding.
Yes, we are. We are very new on the scene. Our first issue came out June 1st, and since then we've grown over 300% with subscriberships, readerships, as well as our advertising. So it's going really well.
That's great. Now, what made you feel like we needed guys, this is like a magazine. Like, it's not just an internet,
No, guys,
hard
it's
copy.
a hard copy magazine that you can
Bye.
subscribe to and get in your mailbox. Remember that thing that you used to get? Mail?
Yeah, which is so exciting. So what made you decide that we needed this right now?
I guess I was tired of mainstream media and magazines constantly telling me that because I'm plus size, I'm not good enough. I need to lose weight. I'm not blonde enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not thin enough. And after sort of going on my own body positive journey and realizing, it just hit me one day that, you know what, I am good enough. There is nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with my body. There's nothing wrong with me maneuvering and being a successful person in society. Why do people constantly tell me I'm not?
Yes, amen.
It's
sister.
true. Applause.
Applause.
I just thought it was also time to start changing that conversation. Media, magazines in particular, are always giving us tips to shrink the belly fat and to lose the bat wings, do this arm exercise. And I thought, what if we just turned it all around and not had it be about losing weight, but have it be about embracing your body, loving who you are, the person that's inside, that society or that media is constantly trying to say isn't good enough. What if we brought that person out?
And I love that that's what you did, like in this issue that's coming out this time. I love that you still did talk about exercise, but you did it in a way of like loving yourself when you're doing exercise and not like being like, oh, I can't do this because
I'm going to
big.
shrink, or I'm going to shrink this part of myself, or I'm going to disappear,
Traditional media and magazines, when it comes to exercise, is always about, well, you're punishing your body because you've eaten something bad, so you have to exercise. It's something that we've just created this mindset that, well, if I eat this, I have to do that. And what about the joy of movement? What about, I want to do squats so I can get up and down on the toilet when I'm 70 and I don't have to have help. I want to be able to do arm exercises so that I can reach up that cupboard on the top shelf.
So you can get all your fashion clothes bags and
Exactly.
carry them to your house.
and haul them with you from the mall.
Right.
By the way, your cover girl is unbelievable, and I went to her Instagram and literally regrammed a photo that made me cry. Like, I literally looked at the photo, and the look on her face is so blissed out and gorgeous. Like,
The picture up on the screen, guys, right now is the first issue that came out.
this is your premiere.
Yes,
Yeah.
my premiere issue
with
featuring Whitney
Waythorne.
Waythor. Yeah.
Now talk about how she came about to you. Like, I mean, what's interesting about her story, and I find fascinating, is that people seem to be okay with her weight because she had a medical condition that made that happen. She was a former thin person who was a dancer, and then I forget what exactly was the medical condition she had, but she had to take medicines that made her gain weight. And like, for some reason, there was like this acceptance, like you're talking about, like, if you're eating food and making yourself that way, then you're a bad person. But if, modern medicine healed you and that's like the result, well, then you get a pass. I find that very fascinating. I'm wondering if she talked about that at all. Does she?
I think for the editorial that we did, she didn't address that, but we did talk a lot about her No Body Shame campaign. And so, you know, she's been in a thin body, she's been in a plus size body, and she's seen both sides of it.
Yeah.
And the shame that she receives in a plus size body has enabled her, and her media exposure enabled her to develop this campaign about no body shame. When I first heard about it, I thought, you know, that's something that really embodies FabUPlus Magazine. We're exactly the same. We both believe that it's my body, it's my choice. No one should be shamed regardless of size, gender, color. And so I thought she'd be a great choice for my first issue to launch that, and embodies everything that FabUPlus does.
And she has such, I mean, every time you see her, she is obviously living her life to the extent of the fullest extent, right?
Yeah.
Like, she just is like a joy every time. Her show is like unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, that's such a great voice. And for someone to be so specifically both things, like really, I mean, being thin is one thing. Being a dancer thin is like, I know, because I've been around a lot of dancer girls, being on Broadway. I've been in some, I know some dancers. So I know that.
Guys, if you didn't know, Kathy was on Broadway. Breaking news here
But you
right
know
now.
I would have never been a crowned pageant winner. Sarah, can
right?
you please talk about your crowning? Because we were like, I was like, no, it's like a big deal. It's all of Canada. Like, she's Miss Plus Canada.
I know.
That's tremendous. So, like, how did that happen for you?
For me, I was actually, it was a whole journey of learning to love myself, and was in an abusive marriage and got out of that. And from there, I just sort of learned to love and accept who I was as a woman, and with that came loving my body. After sort of like surviving, my mom said, okay, time to start dreaming. So I went and got a dream board and wrote out a bunch of dreams, and I wrote down plus size model 3 times and then erased it 3 times until it finally stuck. And then I just had the opportunity to enter, and I entered and won Miss Plus Canada, People's Choice into the talent portion.
What did you do for talent?
Yeah, what's your talent? What's your talent? Tell us.
I did a spoken word on my story. Yeah.
Is it videoed?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
We gotta find it.
Yeah.
What is it called?
On
Tell
my
the
YouTube
people.
channels on Sarah
Tell the
Sarah
people.
Taylor's Journey.
Sarah Taylor's Journey,
Yeah.
guys. We're still gonna find it. Oh my God, we'll totally share it with everybody.
Yes.
Absolutely. You also had Idaho Amy in this last magazine, which
This coming up. This
yeah,
this is just
issue.
coming out.
Yeah, in our
And
fall issue. Yeah.
She is incredible. So she's doing sort of a performance art thing too, I guess. Would you call it that?
Yeah, for sure. And she's
Yeah.
kind of, on the streets and kind of in her bra and shorts, right? Or underwear. And there she is right there. And it's pretty amazing. She says that she's standing for anyone who's struggling with self-esteem and asks people to write on her body, which I found really, really cool. The things that people wrote. Like, no one actually wrote anything hurtful. I mean, she's blindfolded.
She has a
could
bunch of
definitely-
she has a bunch of hearts all over her. Now, what was that like? How did you come about to her? How did you find her in your consciousness?
Well, I saw her video. It went viral on YouTube and in Facebook, and I saw it and I thought, you know what, she's someone who is taking a stance against her body shame, and I thought she's a great person to meet and interview. So I reached out to her. I said, can we interview you for the magazine? She said, absolutely. And sat down with her through Skype, spent a good hour or so just chatting about that whole experience, what it was like for her, what she experienced even going in. I mean, was she nervous? How did she... It's not every day you put on a black bikini and you walk into a busy Idaho market and you blindfold yourself and say, write on me.
No,
So,
I mean,
no.
I can't.
I mean, the
I'm
vulnerable.
like, I can't even like
Kathy,
fathom
first
it.
of all, will not put on a bikini because
I'm really white.
No, first of all, she's like,
She's
I will.
I'm really white.
I will burn even if I put 50,000 on.
Every
I'm
5
gonna
minutes,
burn.
I'm gonna burn, and I will also blind people from the reflection of the sun.
I mean, look, I'm
it's
white
like
too,
if I
but-
was holding this out in the middle of the sun. I would be like that.
Okay, but
I
so
obviously
Kathy
am
will not wear a
not-
bikini anywhere ever in her life. But the vulnerability of letting people, first of all, touch you, really see you in that way. I was just so inspired by that. I was like, wow,
She was
she
really
is
moving.
really.
Now, what did she do
brave.
anything to prep for that? Like, what was the kind of an emotional prepping that she had to do?
I think for her, from what we talked about in the interview, she was just sort of worried, like, is anyone going to perceive this negatively? How's that going to impact? You know, she just went out wing on a prayer with faith and hope, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, you can read all about it, pick up your issue of FabUPlus,
Yes, go and get
she
it.
was,
Go online
that was
and
one of the
find
things
it.
that we spoke quite a bit about when we had our interview, was the fact that, you know, everyone was positive. There wasn't a single negative thing that was written on her body. everyone who wrote on her had a sense of empathy with the words that were written before her, that if you've ever felt a negative feeling about your body, you know, this is this is what I'm doing it for. And she wasn't alone, clearly.
That's, I mean, it's extraordinary, and I want her to come to our town.
Yes.
Can we please meet her? And on one last person that you have in this issue that we actually have quoted on here, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Her
I think
articles
so.
are pretty amazing. Jess Baker. Yeah, I would love to know, like, what's your connection with her, too?
So for my first issue, I reached out to Jess. I let her know that this is what I was doing. We hadn't even come up with the issue yet. It was just a concept. And I asked to interview her for her book that had just came out, Things No One Will Tell Fat Girls. And I said, let's do a review of your book in the magazine and see
great.
how that goes. So we did a review of her book in the first magazine, and once that went to print and everything went out, and I'm like, no, we both have the same philosophy with FabUPlus. It's like, would you be interested in contributing? She's like, absolutely, let's spread the word.
So she's going to contribute all the time.
As much as she can. She's extremely busy.
I
She's
know.
around. She's, you know,
We want to be friends with her, Jess. We are friends. We love
She's
you.
extremely busy. She wasn't able to contribute for my winter issue, which is coming out, but definitely she said in the future she'll be again. So when she's got time, she'll be slot in.
Yeah, she gave a great article that's in this issue as well about obstacles.
Yes.
And
About body love basics.
Body
and,
love
like, how
basics,
to-
yeah.
Yeah, so we have a little clip of it, but if you really want to read the in-depth article, definitely pick up the
and
issue.
the one thing that I loved is that it really is about, like, and every time it happens on here, it's like a bing goes off in my head, like a reminder. Almost everyone who sits in these seats says it. Like, being where you're at and loving yourself where you're at is the thing.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
no matter
not
what
a
size you are.
future-based thing, or I wish I was like I was how many years ago. Like, it really is being in the moment and finding radical acceptance in the moment. And she really wrote beautifully about that. So I hope you guys watch it. We're gonna come back with hot topics.
Hot topics.
When we come back,
I mean, you guys are not going to be in the hot seat. Just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna make it sizzle a little bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys, I lied to you because Kathy is going to burn your buns.
We'll be right back with Plus This. Stay tuned. Don't break. Okay, we're back. We're back with Shannon and Sarah, guys.
Yes.
Sorry about that. We went on we always go on tangents with our dresses. Which the picture of you that we used, you have a cherry velvet dress on.
I do. I had the
So
privilege
cute.
of going and meeting the designer of Cherry Velvet, and it was awesome. We had a great time.
One day we'll get that lucky. I hope she comes down here like you guys came to visit LA. So, one of the things that came out in the news, which is a very big deal, the Refinery 29.
Yeah, they came out with a project called the 67%, which we have been talking about for so long. But they created stock photos of plus size ladies just doing regular kind of things.
Stuff that your magazine would need.
That's exactly what my magazine needs. That's one of the challenges that I've had, is going to mainstream advertisers and saying, hey, come on board. And they're like, sure. But they don't have any visuals that represent my demographic.
Well, now they do. At Getty Images, there are a ton. Pages and pages and pages of them. And some of them are really cute. I will say, we can't show them.
We can't show them because we didn't want to pay for them.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to get in trouble by stealing them. So, and we want to support the cause also. So if you go to the article, which was called 10 Photos of Women That Don't Have Enough Visibility on Huffington Post, they released like this first article. And I have to say, at first I was a little bit like, couldn't the photos be a little cuter? Like, I felt like it was a little too downtown, a little too grungy.
Well, Kathy and I talked about it. That was like, they didn't take the care that they would have taken, we felt, with straight size models. Like, they didn't light them as well as they could have. They didn't. I mean,
They're shot from low angles.
Yeah, the angles are not great.
Yeah. Some of them are gorgeous, and you will love them. I don't want to like say that all of it. This is just like healthy criticism. Like,
it's a good start. It's a good start. But we definitely need to voice this so that there's some, that they're taking the time to make plus size women look how they really look. Not like we don't aren't always in low lighting and just like shaving her legs.
Shaving her
like,
legs.
Like, I mean,
there's a shaving picture that we just couldn't get over.
I know we
guys.
couldn't get
Have
over
you
it.
have you noticed that at all? Have you seen anything with the Refinery 29?
Yes, we follow their work, the See the 67 project. We think it's amazing. The whole goal, what I understand behind the project, is to change the way that media represents women, which we are all for. That's one of FabUPlus's main missions. I think part of the reason why this movement is making traction is we want to see each other. It's normal.
Yes,
if
girl.
67% of us look this
Yes.
way, why can't we see
And
each other?
The numbers they put out was that we are 2% in the actual media.
Yes.
There's 67% of us in America and 2%
Yeah.
represented.
and making us feel like such crap for looking how we look instead of going, you know what, we're just gonna make stuff that looks like what the majority of women look like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that goes into our next topic, which is there was this great article that talked about the fat derangement syndrome and about how people feel like, oh, you talked about stereotypes earlier, like just that if you are fat, then you obviously need to lose weight and want diet advice. And you're just like, it's just not working out for you and you're not really healthy. And how people can't help but say stuff to you. Like, you would never go up to somebody who had thinning hair and be like, are you eating enough? Like, you should really get some hair
I mean,
thickener.
you should really, take in some placenta because that will help your hair grow. I mean, did you talk to your doctor about Rogaine? Because honestly, like, we have to look at you.
Yeah, and that it's like actually a myth that we've bought into. You said that you're having an issue that's gonna come out and have a lot about exercise and health that's coming out.
Yes. Our next issue in winter tackles plus size, gym intimidation, how to find a body positive personal trainer, as well as, just doing things that plus size women think they can't do. Louise Green, who's our plus size fitness specialist, is doing an article on plus size skiing and doing all those movements and stuff in the body. that
Did you see her face? I wish the camera was on you because she lit up like Christmas.
I know. I
guys.
was like, I love it. Because I feel like people constantly think that I can't do anything because I'm fat or I'm not athletic. I can't do any sort of athletic activity. And then they'll say something like, oh, I used to play softball. And they'd be like, oh, you're really fast. Like, you run the bases really fast. And I'm like, yeah, just because I'm big doesn't mean I'm slow. Like, I got some strong legs.
I got some
I'm
muscles.
real strong.
I got some muscles.
I got a layer of chub, but underneath the chub there is a strong ass core. I'm just saying. I mean, I love all kinds of athletic stuff. So
She does. She's a soccer player too.
I'm a soccer player.
Or a football.
Also,
Do you guys call it football in Canada?
No, you
You
kick
call it
it.
soccer.
It's a soccer ball.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm not
yeah.
a sporto. I'm not that.
No.
I can
And
do I
also-
could do a time step, a military time step right here.
Maybe you could also dance.
That is what that's
But
what a
also,
military
I'm
time
a-
step is,
I'm-
by the way.
I'm a-
They all did not know what a time step was.
Did
I
not-
just
did
Googled
not
it.
know that.
It's tap dancing, guys. It's tap.
What's tap
My
dancing?
fan base, my musical theater fan base, is crying out for me, being like,
No, they're laughing. They're like, "Wow, they didn't know what that was." Bro, everybody knows what a military is.
That's true.
I can't even say it because I don't know. Wait, but also, guys, I'm a mermaid because I freaking love to swim.
You do.
And I want to be swimming all the time. Or
Okay.
floating, just floating like a big, just want to be floating.
I'm glad you shared that.
I needed to. I really felt
You
like
need to get
I
that
needed
out.
you to know how
Are
sporty.
you going
exactly
to
how
do
sporty
something
I am.
about swimming in this next issue?
Maybe
Obviously.
something about swimming for a summer issue. I know
Oh,
that
fun.
there's going to be a lot of bikinis and a lot of things
I
like
need
that
a
coming out in the
bikini
summer.
option.
bikini.
I need help choosing a bikini. Maybe that's what you guys could do an article on. Maybe we could do an article in conjunction of like helping me find a freaking bikini because
Yeah,
it's hard.
it is.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Yes. So there's one other thing that came out this week, and I found it fascinating that it was about fat people being friendlier, like people's image of them, think of them as friendlier. But then it kind of goes deeper than that. So we actually have a quote from it, I think.
Yes, about the people see fat bodies as friendlier.
Yes. The
The reason. Oh wait, this is not the right quote. This is actually going back to the fat derangement syndrome. Here
There
it
it
is.
is. Thank you,
There
guys.
were 3 women who got more negative word associations than other users called them sloppy, ugly, embarrassing, etc. But in the end, when we asked users which women they'd choose to be friends with, these 3 women were also the top 3.
Isn't that
That's
a
very
psychological
Mind fuck.
It is totally like it blew my mind. And so to give you a premise, I'm sorry I jumped in, but it's Refinery 29 did a poll like of 1,000 of their
viewership.
People they had email addresses for, and so it was kind of loosey goosey, but this is what ended up coming, and it was with those photos, and it was like asking people like with comparing thin to heavy people photos, and I just found that fascinating that at the same time they think negatively, they're like, but still be my friend. And what is that about? I don't know. We kind of talked about it, and we're like, it's easy to be around a fat friend.
Because you're like, if you're fatter, then I look better next to you, and I probably look smarter and not as lazy. What do you think about that? Like, just like that's so crazy to me to think that, like, I look at like that someone would look at me and say she's probably lazy and stupid, but I really want to be her friend.
I actually had a recent experience at the gym. So I started a new boot camp, only big girl in the class. And when I first went into the class, everybody just kind of looked at me like, she's not going to be able to do nothing. By the end of the class, I was being used as an example on form because I knew what I was doing, right?
Yeah, you were.
And they were surprised that I could keep up in the class. So the trainer was like, oh, you like finished the class. Like, just because I'm big doesn't mean I can't move. Like, yes, I can do a burpee. But people gravitated towards being around me. I don't know why, I guess. But at first it's like this hesitation of like, oh, I think you're like this. And then we're just people, right? Like, I don't know. I think it's very an odd sort of observation to like.
It's a separation. I mean, the reality is that we are all one, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're all one. And this thing that's it feels like such a chasm. And I think that the more people get seen by magazines like yours and like Refinery 29 and other people who are bridging that gap, then all of a sudden those things will disappear. And I think now it's such a hot spot. It's such a pivotal tipping point moment right now. And we're just grateful you're doing it. So thank you. Can you please tell people where they can get it? Where can they get it?
Absolutely. So they can pick up here in the United States. You can pick us up at Barnes & Noble and Books A Million. And in Canada, we're at Chapters and we're in Walmart Canada. We're not in Walmart USA yet, but hopefully that's on the agenda for 2017.
And they can also subscribe.
Absolutely.
Right?
They can subscribe on our website and have it delivered right to their door. It's available in
And
print
what's your
and
website?
digital. www.FabUPlusMagazine.com.
FabUPlus Magazine, like fabulous, but with a P. Because they be all plus.
That's right. And your Instagram account is also at FabUPlus, right?
Yes.
And Sarah's yours is Sarah
Taylor's Journey.
Journey.
So my
with an
website,
S,
yes.
Sarah Taylor's.
Yes, Sarah
like,
Taylor's Journey.
Possessive.
Instagram, Facebook, all that.
all of the social media is the
Yes.
same
Yeah.
for you, which is great.
And you were talking about an event that you're doing. You do a lot of speaking events,
Yeah.
being a former Miss Plus Canada. So
I
where
have
are you
my
next?
first Body Confident boot camp coming up at the end of the month in Toronto. So I'll just walk women through the lessons I've learned and how to get to be body positive and learn to love who I am as a woman, as well as some of the tips I've learned in my modeling career that have helped enhance my confidence and holding my body a different way and my shoulders back and that sort of thing, to have an actual expression of what does it look like to be confident and how do you get there rather than just let's be confident.
Amazing.
Yeah,
you
it's
just
like
made
super-
me feel like I needed
Superwoman
to sit up more
poses,
straight.
right? We're doing
Yeah.
the Superwoman poses.
Put your shoulders back. Put your shoulders
But my
back.
buttons are
Put
gonna
your-
pop.
Put your shoulders back and
My
your
buttons are gonna pop if I
you
do
gotta, you
it.
gotta do it like this. The shoulders back.
You're good at isolating, so you should have been a dancer.
I am a dancer
You
secretly.
are
I'm a
inside.
secret dancer. You haven't seen me dance.
You're definitely
I
a
can
singer.
move.
You definitely sing with me, which I enjoy
Yeah.
very much. Well, ladies, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
us.
so
It's
much.
been
Thank
such
you
a
very much
pleasure.
for having us.
And we'll be right back with a new Plus This Bitches when we return. Plus This.